Score Match today is quite a different game from what it was when it launched, back in 2018. In most cases, the game got better, but I'll leave you to judge whether these 10 things made Score Match better or worse. Let me know in the comments, guys, and don't forget to like the video to show your support. Yes, guys, both Matsumoto and Faustino had more speed in the past. Faustino had a maximum of 35 speed at level 10, which would make him as fast as Sandberg and the Menace. In fact, he was the fastest non-running player out there, as non-running players can only go up to 30 speed at level 10. With such great skill and shot power, I can only imagine how good Faustino was in attack, to be honest. Matsumoto was similar. He had 30 speed at level 10 compared to the 25 that he has now. He also had 5 more skill, which wasn't crazy, but it still helped his shooting a bit. Seeing Matsumoto, who's basically an upgraded hammer, run around with 30 speed was pretty wild. I remember this actually. His speed was just as good as Fernandez the villain, so think about that for a second. From this rare screenshot you could see that he already had 27 speed at level 9, and that would go up to 30 at level 10. An update FTG made a few years ago nerfed both Faustino and Matsumoto, removing 5 speed from both of them and removing 5 skill from Matsumoto. A good nerf, I'd say. Take this screenshot from a simple arena game and compare it to this screenshot from a recent event. If you'd want to start first, players used to have to bid 32 gems compared to the few gems it takes nowadays. In events today you can rarely bid more than 6 gems, in fact, but in some events you can only bid bucks. This was, to be honest, a fantastic change here from FTG. Why? Because if the cost of gems remained so high, players with a ton of gems were always favored to win the bid for kickoff, whereas now anyone can win it, which, to be honest, makes the game more balanced for everyone, which is a great thing. You could actually check how many bucks other players have won through their profile. So by tapping on their profile you could just see the number of bucks they'd have won throughout their whole Score Match career. This was a neat little feature that sadly got removed in favor of this bugged head-to-head counter that doesn't even work in arena matches. I guess it used to bug out a little bit if the player had won a gazillion bucks, but it was still a cool little feature that sadly got removed quite a few years ago now. The Season Pass wasn't always around. Before that you could unlock a gold package every 24 hours, granted that you'd score the 10 goals needed. The package always offered the same rewards, which one can argue is better than the free version of the Season Pass today, when some of the prices are like 700 bucks or 40 cards sometimes or something like that. Back then you couldn't pay extra to get extra prizes, and the prices were always the same. It was always that gold package, day in, day out. Unlike many things on this list, I actually remember this quite a lot. So you could play 3 different types of friendlies with your friends. They were called Kickabout, Contest and Grudge Match. The Kickabout is exactly the same as friendlies today, but the others included more gems as a cost, but way more bucks as a prize. Were these worth it? To be honest, not really, but they made for cool friendlies. To be fair, you could challenge other players for a big contest and get 7,000 bucks as a prize, which is almost as much bucks as we get through events nowadays. I don't really understand why FTG had to remove this feature. It wasn't hurting anyone and people were definitely not abusing it either, given the big gem cost. These 3 packages were cheaper in the past, although they did offer less cards, to be fair. Do they justify the price increase? I'd say no. The diamond package used to cost 2000 gems just earlier this year, and it was increased again to 2185 gems. I don't like these kinds of price increases, to be honest. These packages are good, but the cost to buy them is insane if you think about how expensive buying gems is in this game. I'm sure that many rich people who have maxed their entire teams probably won't care about this, but it's still a small change that makes these packages less worth it than they were before. This was a very minor thing that really didn't have any effect on the game, but it's a cool thing I noticed when doing research for this video. Once you completed your tutorial, there used to be this logged arena called Training. You couldn't access it after the tutorial was done, but it's funny that theoretically there was an arena that offered $50 and 3 stars for a win. It would be cool if this arena would be reopened and we could maybe practice our shots or practice our like free kicks or passes in it or something, right? I mean, it's definitely doable. I've talked about this in a previous video, so do check it out, I'll link it below in the description. But it's worth noting how much bucks you could win in arenas before, guys. This is absolutely insane. So look at this. 250,000 bucks, 1 million bucks, 5 million bucks. A win in Arena 8 would give you 5 times the amount of bucks you win in league events nowadays. Let that sink in. Also, you could play in any arena you wanted to, as long as you unlocked it. You could just choose which arena to play in depending on the number of bucks you'd want to sacrifice. Because yes, you had to pay bucks to play arena matches before, unlike now, where it's free. But if you had a good win rate back then, you could have made hundreds of millions of bucks. And that's exactly what many people have done, in fact. Lucky them. So there was a bug, and this is pretty well known, right? But there was a bug that let players play their keeper anywhere in the field. Anywhere. It was only available for a short while, but it was really funny, man. You'd have Massali and Romero and all the other keepers randomly in the middle of the field in the late arenas. The keeper's behavior was weird too. Most of them are one-touch passers and they tend to go for safe passes too. But if you'd manage to put them in a situation where they could shoot, they'd have enough power and skill to score some real bangers, man. It was funny. It was a funny time, really. Although FTG patched it, people could still use their captains wherever they wanted, as long as they didn't move them from their position in the formation. So, technically speaking, some players with keepers in their lineup can still be out there. Most of us have never experienced this, but defending was way more crazy back in 2018, the year this game was released. In fact, you had no real control over your defense. All you could do is tap on the tackle button and hope that the game selects a good player to tackle with. This used to be chaotic, of course, because there was no strategy to defending. Just tap the tackle button furiously until you'd win the ball back. There was a cooldown that lasted for a few seconds, so you were basically forced to wait until it turned dark green to try another tackle. FTG changed this pretty quickly, in fact, and we now have the defense system we have today. To be honest, this was the single best update FTG has ever done, because it has given us a bunch more control over our defending, and it lets us strategize which players we want to tackle, which players we want to drag out of position. And to be honest, I can't really imagine using this tackle system at all. What a nightmare, man. I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. Did I miss anything? Did you know about any of these? Let me know below. Also, consider liking and subscribing if you haven't already, guys. So thanks a lot, and I'll see you in the next time. Take care.